Welcome. Thank you to our show, Gender Dignity, Unique and Equal. It is January 2016, but in 2015, transgender violence had increased 31%, and so I really wanted to create a program that would introduce transgender issues. Well, today on our show, we have first-generation American immigrant friends, and they're going to talk a little bit about their countries and what it's like for them in terms of LGBT issues over there, what it's been like over here. We're going to hear a little bit about their story and their thoughts about these issues. As we know, awareness is not always interpreted as acceptance, and for that reason, we really need to keep addressing this and normalizing it. Originally, I had 4 folks for the program, but 2 folks declined to come on because of basically safety issues. I received a really beautiful email that I just want to sum up. The person had said that they were really grateful to have met me, but after speaking to their folks in their country, they felt that they were unsafe and potentially their family would be unsafe as well. And it was a beautiful email about how that she didn't understand these issues and that she came to understand them differently. So right now, somewhere out there in a different country, there is a family talking about transgender issues with compassion and a new awareness. So hopefully tonight, after you hear our guests, you also will have a little bit of a new awareness. But I hope you'll also learn that you don't have to understand something in order to be safe. So without further ado, we're going to move forward. Ori, hi, welcome.
Hi, Matthew.
Hi, it's good to have you.
Good.
I'm wondering if you could just introduce yourself and tell us just a little bit about yourself and the country that you're coming from and maybe how long you've been here.
Yeah, sure. My name is Ori Sabashimike, and I've been in America like 2 years and a half. I came 2013, and I was born and raised in Burundi, the capital in Bujumbura, and it's a rough place, and eventually also conservative place, for the LGBT community. It's a country based on, old culture, that discount culture, So like, you born straight, you have to be straight, So all these, it's evil things. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in Burundi, it's seen as evil LGBT issues?
It is, and in fact, in 2010, they voted a right, that banned LGBT. So like, if you came out, as LGBT, like gay, lesbian, or transgender, or bisexual, those kind of stuff, you get jail. You get sentenced to 10, 25 years in jail, so yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I do know you had a gentleman in your life, and you spoke to me about him and some of the struggles that he had. Would you mind sharing that with us today?
Yeah, sure. For me, this gentleman, he was like a model. He was older than me, and so I grew up, watching him as a model, and so the interesting fact is, like, back in 2011, so he came out as a gay person, and he was at his 4th year of college. He was studying law, so he was about to be a lawyer. So, but he couldn't because, first of all, because his family he from a conservative family, so they are against about gay. So
sure,
he had to deal first of all with his family, his friends, his neighbors. So all coming with this struggle. So he couldn't, going back to school, and also like this stereotype, So he had to face, college. So I would say he backed it up. And the interesting fact is, when I left in Burundi in 2013, he was an advocate, because he was a vice president of LGBT, in Burundi. So he came along, but we met him.
Was that your first experience with LGBT?
No, my first experience was back in 2000. I think 2008, there was a radio show on private station. I don't remember the name, private station radio, and you could hear that there were like many gay people in Burundi, and I didn't know at the time. I thought it would be like maybe it's just a rumor. You could hear, the host was a Burundian guy. He was a journalist, and he interviewed like people like who came out, as from closet as gay, and the person was she was a lesbian, and she mentioned like an event happened 2 years ago. At that time, like she went the Syria, and she met with a 50-year-old guy. He had a family. He had wife and kids, and so she called the guy. Like I don't know, like she wasn't looking for what the guy was doing, but I would say it's coincidence. She called the guy having like intimate moment with another guy.
Sure.
So that's when I started to
Oh, so that's when you became aware.
yeah,
Okay.
aware, and time after time, I started to like be aware of what the struggle is.
The struggle.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ori.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Messume, it's really nice to have you tonight as well.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your country of origin?
Yeah, I am from Iran. I came here, immigrated here about a couple of years ago,
Okay.
not too long. But I'm not too familiar with this thing because in my country, I know we have LGBT people, but because it's something, it's not just the government doesn't like this. People are not too interested in that matter either. So they tend to keep it quiet.
Sure.
So,
Are there consequences for someone being LGBT in Iran?
well, like I said, I'm not too familiar because of the thing that they tend to keep it quiet. Not many people know, just maybe their close people, close friends and relatives may know about that. But I think government would react to that if they catch a person that acting the way he or she shouldn't do or act, and they catch the person, and yeah, they would show reaction to that.
Well, what
There
sort of
would
reaction?
could be jail, could be maybe it depends on how serious the matter is. Like I say, it could be jail or it could be some fines, paying money and just get out of the situation.
Okay. I'm really curious because I know in Iran, they're a little bit more open maybe with trans folks in terms of getting the medical care that they need. And I found that interesting. Thought it was very progressive, but there's kind of a little bit of a catch to that. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that's something I didn't know either before I met you. So when you talked about this thing, I said, that's a good question. Let's get some information for myself, see what exactly going on in my country. So I searched a little bit online and Wikipedia, and it said after the revolution, just in mid-80s, we had the first transgender operation or surgery, whatever it is, and it was a man trans to a woman. And there are talks about that, if it is acceptable or not, but they're doing it, and that's mostly because they don't like people being gay or lesbian. That's why they do the transgender. So if that person is a man but tends to be a woman, shouldn't go with another man.
Right.
Or the other way around. So, but that again, it's not that easy either. They have to go through consultation, talk, and depends on how serious the issue is. And if they can afford the surgery and medication, then the doctor get the permission from government or other places. They need to get the permission, and then they go do
The surgery.
the surgery and medication.
Okay.
Yeah.
So interesting in that they're sort of progressive with trans folks, but not as progressive with homosexuality.
Yeah.
And I would almost say in America, I think it's fair to say we're probably much more progressive about homosexuality and less progressive about trans issues. Because even in 2015, homosexual violence decreased 33%, whereas trans awareness, our violence increased 31%. So I'm curious, Mesame, had you ever met a trans person prior to meeting me that you know of?
No, I don't think so. Or maybe if I have, but I couldn't recognize.
Right, that you didn't recognize the
Yeah,
person.
I couldn't recognize, and like I said, they tend to keep it quiet,
Sure.
not letting other people know about that.
Right, right. I was wondering, you both, when I met you, sort of had some questions for me. So I'm wondering if you would like to ask anything, if you want to understand the issue a little bit better. So Ori, do you have any questions? Ori and I know each other. We have the same faith-based community, and it's a very welcoming and affirming and open community. And I met him basically 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, sure.
Yes,
2.5
yes.
years.
So go ahead, Ori.
You know, first when I first met you, so I really didn't know you well. So and so third, I thought you were a woman. You know, you apologized me for this. I didn't know, but I started paying attention how you looked, and I realized if you're not a man or if you're not a man, then you are transgender. And you know, before I came to the United States, so I've heard about transgender people. But personally, I never met, physically, never met transgender. And so I had this all question, coming in my head. So how did you found your way, out? Because at the time, I was, when I came in America, I started to read about, Paul and Maine and the whole Maine, history, and the LGBT, how they were welcome. But you could, read on whether on Wikipedia or other website, about how LGBT were welcome, but the lesbian people, the lesbian community, the gay people, the bisexual community, but there's no line that says, how transgender community did, came out from closet. So how do you find your way out with no help of any social, community? So.
Okay. Well, when I met you, I had just transitioned. And to explain what that means to me, transition for me literally means as soon as I stepped up to the plate and owned who I was, then I transitioned. When I met you, I think I was just starting on the medical transition. Therefore, my features were still pretty feminine. I know I was dressing masculine at the time, but I had just started on the hormones at a small amount, and then last year I went on a full dose, and that changed pretty quickly, my physical presentation. As a Christian, I did find it really hard, Ori, because I had really believed that being trans was wrong and that being homosexual was wrong. And unfortunately, I tended to believe, love the sinner, hate the sin. Now, in my case, I am the sin. So there was really no way to cut that out. And I really had to come to terms with how could God love me? Did he make a mistake? And I think a lot of folks, trans folks, will often think, this is a mistake. Well, I do a lot of speaking in faith communities, and I also do some trainings and such. And I use a lot of nature examples. And being trans is actually in nature. There are lots of plants and fish that change genders back and forth.
Yeah, sure.
There are people who are legitimately born intersexed, which is both female and male anatomy or secondary sex characteristics. In the United Kingdom, there was a chromosomal male, and this person gave birth to twins. Outwardly, they were female, and they had female parts, obviously. And then one of the two other examples, in the Dominican Republic, there's a little island that has so much trouble with gender because a lot of children are born and they perceive them to be female, and then at 12, their testes and their penis drop and they develop normally. But these children were so distraught that they had to literally have a clinic because they were being raised as female, but they knew they were male. So in my life, I knew probably as soon as I was old enough to know what gender was, that I really was male, that my energy, that my spirit was male, and somehow that was placed inside of a female body. Not being God, I don't know why, but I don't feel that God made a mistake, and it is what it is. And then on Christmas Day, there was a show, and it was called The World's Sneakiest Animals, and it was two African scientists who were observing a pride of lions that they believed were male, and it turns out they were lionesses. Wow. And they had grown out their manes, and they were behaving as males. They thought, well, this is just, unusual. It's an anomaly. And it turns out it's not at all. They went on to find many other lions, and then they went on to find many other animals doing the same thing. In particular, I found fascinating, they had these deer that were male, but they didn't grow out their antlers, and they were behaving like females. Wow. So, and then the truth is, this has been with us through the beginning of time. We used to call these folks two-spirited. And this is in indigenous cultures, and they actually had a very revered place in society. And people would go to them to make the big decisions because it was thought that they could take on the perspectives of everybody and make the most intelligent and compassionate decision. The problem is we weren't looking for it, and because it's a little different, it is different, right? It only afflicts 1% of the population. So we could look at it as being something really good and a blessing, or we're gonna look at it as something bad.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that's what's going on, and I'm trying to show that it isn't unnatural, it's completely normal, it is rare, but that could mean that it's a gift. Yeah. So, Mesame, did you have any questions?
Well, I had the same question.
That's the same similar question.
Now, I was
when we met, I really liked how you had told me that this was something you really don't understand. Mm-hmm. So could you talk a little bit more about how you don't understand it, but you still can accept people, that you can still care about them?
Yeah, so it's something I haven't been familiar with, and like I said, because it's been quiet in the country, people, and not just government, people themselves, they're not too used to it and familiar with it, and they cannot accept it due to mostly due to religion beliefs, but some due to just old habits. They don't want to change them, so sure. Yeah, they just keep it as it is. Mm-hmm. And when I came to this country, I started to see it, realize it, see gay, lesbian, trans, and I was, wow, it's so obvious, so different, and I could see the differences. But transgender, it's, I was talking to you the other day, yesterday, and I said that it's something that I don't say I agree with it, but I don't say I disagree either. So my personal idea is, if you can get along with it, it's not that much, just get along, why not?
Or
But
yeah.
but if you are really suffering, you think you should be the other person, okay, then go change it.
Right.
Be the other person. If you're going to be comfortable that way, there is nothing wrong with that. So, yeah, and it's, you know, it's, you are a human. Everyone is a human being. Doesn't matter what you are, what gender you are, what color you are. We all have the same rights. We are all breathing the same air. So what's the difference? We are all here for a reason, and all of us want to be happy and live freely.
And love,
So,
love wins.
Yeah.
And be loved, right?
Yeah.
Love and be
and
loved.
love and to be loved. So doesn't matter what you are, how you are, or what.
Thank you, my son.
Yeah.
Did you want, it looked like you wanted to add something, Ori.
Yeah, I want to add something like, you know, I mean, it's hard to acknowledge, you know, it's a taboo, you know, subject, you know, when you came in a place when they don't agree with this, you know, and there's something maybe people don't acknowledge is that most people who hate, you know, to open even a discussion have never, you know, opened a discussion, and they're not well, like, you know, like people from LGBTQ community bleed the same blood, you know, breathe the same air, so like, it's very, you know, tough and struggle to not be able to love somebody, and I mean, come out and express who you are. It's a pain, it's the struggle, and when you succeed, it's a relief. So love wins. So if you open a discussion, time after time, you can, you know, choose, you know, really your point. Because when you say you have never opened a discussion, you don't know exactly where your point is. So I don't know. It's like you can't swim in the ocean. That's what they say. You know? Yeah.
I really love what you said, Mesame, because you know what? We are just people. And, you know, there's lots of things in life I don't understand, but we can have a safe space and be inclusive. I had a thought and then I just quickly lost it. It was about being in pain. I wanted to address that because so often people almost make this, not even making a something, they act as though this is a choice. And I really want to address that because if it is such a choice, why would anyone make it, given that you're going to experience so much rejection? And I myself was in a tremendous amount of pain and was trying so hard to conform, to be a woman in the way I perceived a woman was supposed to be, have relationships the way I thought they were supposed to be. And I don't know about other people, but I want the same things as pretty much everybody else. I want to be loved, and I want to love, and I want to be free to do that. And I'm really glad that you guys are here bettering our communities, and that you're here willing to come on the show too. So I think that this has been going really well. So I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to wait for the light to come on. Okay. Is it done? Oh, it's done then? Well, thank you tonight for your interest in our show, Gender Dignity, Unique and Equal. We had some really intelligent guests who articulated the differences in their country and our country, some of the same issues worldwide, and I think they both said it well. We all just want to be here to live our lives freely and safely, to love and be loved. Thank you so much. Have a great night.